Hello students, in this class today, we'll discuss on the importance of adapted program in rehabilitation. An adapted program is provided to individuals with disabilities. Adapted physical education is specialized branch of adapted program. It is provided to students with disabilities and defines physical education as a development of physical and motor skills. Fundamental motor skills and patterns, that is throwing, catching, walking, running, etc. And skills in aquatics, dance, and individual and group games and sports, including intramural and lifetime sports. Rehabilitation is a process used to give a healing touch to the patients who are suffering from physical and mental disorders, addiction, etc. Rehabilitation program helps the patient to get back to his/her normal life and earn a livelihood. Rehabilitation plays an important role in the lives of addicts and persons who have suffered from diseases or accidents. It plays a key role in the lives of people who have suffered from trauma. This program is given to patients based on their needs. Every person's requirements varies, so the program is subjective. Personal attention is given to each patient and his or her development is monitored on regular basis. Both adapted program as well as a rehabilitation program works on improving the condition of individuals with deviations from normal functioning physiologically, psychologically, or socially. Thus, both the programs are basically interlinked. However, adapted physical education forms a very important part of the whole rehabilitation process. The relationship of sports and disability are particularly important because the term rehabilitate comes from the medieval Latin word habilitas, meaning to make able, and involves building bridges over disruptions that have occurred between the past and the present, and with regard to control over one's life. Rehabilitation is helping the individual achieve the highest level of functioning, independence, participation, and quality of life possible. The popular portrayal of sports in disability as ability not disability counts. Dallas Mavericks Online suggests that the aim of sport and rehabilitation are actually similar, only at different ends of the normal distribution curve. Thus, the methods of training, increasing motivation, and social conduct in sports may be of particular relevance to rehabilitation efforts and structures. The inclusion of adapted program into rehabilitation services is associated with the legacy of the medical rehabilitation specialist Sir Ludwig Guttmann, who has also known as the founder of the International Stock Mandeville Games Federation. Later, models of Joachim Rimmer and Skull and Huber suggest physical activity program within a health promotion delivery system of rehabilitation from hospital into the community. Today, physical activity and sports for participants with functional limitations and activity restrictions are increasingly being referred to within the framework of adapted physical activity, Paralympics, Special Olympics, health promotion, and rehabilitation medicine. Let us now discuss the importance of an adapted program in the process of rehabilitation. To better understand the importance of adapted program in sports in rehabilitation, it is important to take into account the historical perspective as well. The phrase mens sana in corpore sano, which when translated means healthy mind in a healthy body, is a famous Latin quotation of the Roman poet Juvenal of the 1st and the 2nd century, constructed to mean that a healthy body is needed to produce or sustain a healthy mind. An editorial entitled with this phrase in the important medical journal Annals of Internal Medicine highlights the role of physical activity in protecting brain structure and function, and the role of exercises in the elderly in reducing the risks for all-cause dementia and Alzheimer's disease. Physical activity had an important role in the lives of ancient cultures, including the Greeks, Romans, and Jews. King Herodicus of Salambria in the 5th century BC was claimed by Plato of abusing physical activity, apparently due to the king's habit of promoting exercise in unsuitable cases. The Roman physician Galen was apparently the earliest source for describing benefits of exercise by condition and intervention details in his famous work De Sanitate Tuenda. In the Middle Ages, Moses Maimonides, the Spanish physician, theologian, and philosopher of the 12th century, who had a major impact on the Jewish and Arabic world at that time, praised exercise as a protective factor confronting illness as well. The modern evolution of physical activity and sports as an active means of rehabilitation is attributed, among others, to the Swedish scholar Per Henrik Ling, who established in the 19th century a system of medical gymnastics in the University of Stockholm, Sweden, after curing himself from rheumatism and paralysis through practicing fencing and gymnastics. The medical gymnastics was later transferred to other European and to American institutions of both medical and educational sciences, but was not accepted. It was transformed in the United States of America into corrective gymnastics and later sports for the handicapped, special physical education, adapted physical education, and ultimately adapted physical activity. The importance of adapted program in rehabilitation can be better understood by the following points. An adapted program, commonly refers to as adapted physical education, can play a key role in the lives and communities of people with disabilities, the same as it can for people without disability. There is a wealth of evidence to support participation in sports and physical activity for people with a disability concerning trends, barriers, and benefits of participation. Over the past 3 decades, numerous studies have revealed that physical activity and sports participation result in improved functional status and quality of life among people with selected disabilities. Scientific research that have been conducted across disability groups reveal that participation in sports and physical activity as designed in the adapted program leads to improved levels of physical health and well-being. Involvement in the adapted program has also shown to improve physical fitness and general mood in psychiatric patients with depressive and anxiety disorders considerably. In addition to this, sport and physical activity have been linked to improvements in self-confidence, social awareness, and self-esteem that can contribute to empowerment of people with disabilities. The inclusion of adapted program into the process of rehabilitation has shown considerable improvement in the body structure and the functioning of the systems, with an increase in the joint mobility and the neuromuscular coordination. Further, the co-working of adapted program and the therapies can effectively lead to weight reduction, alignment of posture, increase in the bone density, as well as increase in the muscle mass. The incorporation of adapted program into the rehabilitation process further leads to an increase in the aerobic and or anaerobic endurance as and when required by the sportsman or patient under rehabilitation. In the United States of America, the adapted program expert and the therapists are seen working together to restore the range of motion, increase muscle strength and power, increase the cardiovascular function, as well as increase the energy efficiency. Participation in adapted physical education programs, such as participating in ball games or any other team activities, enables the participant to be more assertive, be accepted among peers, achieve the desired level of leadership qualities, be able to compete, and even assume responsibility or responsibilities. All the above programs are, however, done under the supervision of a team of experts. Another important function that adapted program plays can be more clearly seen from the fact that physical activity has very tangible outcomes. When mastery and success are accomplished through learning a new motor skill such as swimming, riding, cycling, batting, etc., or through increasing the strength needed to push the body away from the floor, thus initiating different modes of locomotion, individuals of all ages and abilities, which ultimately leads to gain of confidence in the body and consequently the life. Thus, fulfilling one of the most important objectives of rehabilitation, that is, the individual gains control his life and not allow the disorder, injury, or disability control it. The blend of adapted program and rehabilitation leads to self-determination and empowerment as a part of the community-related rehabilitation outcome. As we know, the principal aim of rehabilitation is to optimize social participation and quality of life. This normally involves helping to empower the individual to decide upon and to achieve the levels and pattern of autonomy and independence that they wish to have, including participation in vocational, social, and recreational activity. Adapted physical activity calls for increasing choice, empowerment, and responsible decision-making of the rehabilitation client, leading to counseling initiatives providing alternatives for participation in sports activities in the community. Another important factor of sports or adapted physical activities in the rehabilitation process is that sports can be used by classification as an activity enhancing and human rights agent. One of the major agents enhancing the participation of individuals with disability in sports program has been the classification principle. In sports of participants with disabilities, the classification system is aimed at increasing participation of all individuals, including those with severe disabilities across the lifespan. Therefore, ranges of functional limitations are identified, forming competitive categories enabling relatively equal but also broad enough competition. The classification systems in sports for persons with disabilities are aimed to provide an equitable starting point based on functional ability, that is, Performance should depend upon training, talent, motivation, and skill rather than on belonging to a favored or disadvantaged group based on functional capacity. By means of the classification systems, both able-bodied and relatively severe impaired participants can be included and enjoy participation, for example, in reverse integrated wheelchair basketball. Thus, the continuous establishment of classification system in sports would increase the likelihood of equal status participation. Conforming to the UN Convention on Human Rights of Persons with Disability, this is the Article 30 of the United Nations Commission for Equal Rights of People with Disabilities. And now let us come to the conclusion. Adapted program involving sports can have a positive impact on the lives of people with disabilities, but many face challenges to get involved in sports, especially in developing countries. It can play a key role in the lives and communities of people with disabilities, the same as it can for people without a disability. There is a wealth of evidence to support participation in sports and physical activity for people with a disability concerning trends, barriers, and benefits of participation. Over the past 3 decades, numerous studies have revealed that physical activity and sports participation result in improved functional status and quality of life among people with selected disabilities. Adopted sports and recreation programs surveyed in 1996 and again in 2006 report overall that the health of the participants were good and many retained the same programming, financial support mechanism, leadership and participant mix over the years. Many have increased athlete participation despite financial challenges being a predominant concern. They even reported that the staying power of the participants were dependent on many factors which included leadership, participant referrals, an ample supply of volunteers, and consistent community and financial support. They felt that their success was important to the physical and psychological well-being of individuals with disabilities and that an increased focus on corporate sponsorship, participation, and mentorship by those with disabilities may also assist in future growth.